Conneaut, Ohio, a small town of about 11,000 people nestled on the shores of Lake Erie. A quiet, picturesque place smack dab in the heart of America's Rust Belt. Founded by Moses Cleveland, July 4th, 1796. It's a tourist delight. Beautiful harbor, scenic rivers, sandy beaches, cozy neighborhoods, covered bridges, new school for the kids. So what's wrong with this picture? Well, it turns out Conneaut, like so many other Midwestern cities, never recovered from the mass exodus of manufacturing jobs. During the 1970s and the 1980s, jobs that went overseas and to the Sun Belt, devastating this community. Those factories and other businesses providing the good-paying jobs that supported growing families never came back.
So the loss of several thousand jobs, probably a couple thousand jobs over the last 35 years has had a major impact on the community and has caused it to change from a very vibrant community to a community that is not as vibrant. We haven't replaced the jobs. Well, the jobs just aren't here in this part of Ohio. And so a lot of the young people have moved out of the area and they're not coming back. They go away, get their education, and they don't return. There's nothing for them to return to.
So you got a beautiful historic city with a high unemployment rate, few job opportunities, shops closing with bleak future prospects for the ever-shrinking group of young people who manage to stick it out and graduate from high schools. Who invests in a town like this? Well, one industry saw a perfect storm of opportunities right here in Conneaut. Using state-of-the-art technologies and the unyielding code of silence, they've developed and implemented an ingenious network-based marketing plan and are busy recruiting our most precious and our most vulnerable resources, our children and parents. You probably don't even know it's going on right now, right under your own roof. Welcome to Meth-dot-Com. No, it's not an actual website, but a multi-million-dollar illicit drug industry that feeds off of the social network of the young teens in our rural and urban neighborhoods. It's a billion-dollar business, a sinister business model of the dot-com age, just as strategically operated as the old steel mill and department store that vanished from our small towns long ago. It's tightly woven in our communities, from our friends and family to our schools, and it's highly profitable for those involved. The majority of U.S. counties report that meth is their most serious drug problem, more than cocaine and marijuana combined.
We see what I consider to be an above average amount of drug activity for a community this size.
But you know, crystal meth is made in vans, hotels. They've got labs that basically can be transported.
What's the centerpiece for Meth-dot-Com's drug network strategy? The teen house party.
Anybody that sells drugs is going to find a way to sell their drugs one way or another. What a better way to sell drugs but at a house full of drunk kids.
There's nothing to do in this town, so it's like every weekend they're gonna get together and party.
I get invited to parties like 3 or 4 times a week, but yeah, like there's parties all the time. Beer games and a bunch of drugs and like a bunch of chaos, really.
Parties where, you know, I'm sure maybe other people have heard that too. You walk in the door and there's your punch. Everybody opens their pockets, you know, and pours whatever you have in your pockets in the punch, and you're good to go for the night. But the consequence is unreal.
When we lived next to druggies, you know, because we were drug house, we were constantly awake and they were having we couldn't sleep.
Most parents think when you say teen house party, oh, you mean a dozen or so kids hanging out, listening to music or dancing at some friend's house. No big deal. Yeah, maybe somebody sneaks a couple of 6-packs of beer in. It can't all be that bad. Parents, you need to wake up.
We've come across house parties where parents have actually purchased alcohol for their kids with the philosophy being, well, if they're going to go drink someplace, they might as well drink here where I can watch them. Unfortunately, that involves a lot of other kids too. And there's also the parties where kids wait for their parents to leave home for the weekend or overnight and take advantage of that situation.
To understand the potential profitability of house party networks to the illicit drug industry, just do some simple math. Start with 2 people who get invited. Then when they each invite 2 other of their friends, and these friends keep calling and texting, inviting more friends, and assume that Thursday there's one party at one house, Friday from another location, and Saturday another. 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2, etc. times 3 days each week.
You know, these young girls, when they reach the age of 14 or 15, I've seen, you know, even younger, because they, you know, they'll hang out, the 12-year-olds will hang out with the older girls. Then as they become mobile, as they're able to hook up with an older teenager that can now drive a car, or an adult that will take them around, that, or a boyfriend, you know, anyone that will allow them to move around, combine that with the text messaging, it's very easy for the teenager with their normal, you know, rebelliousness to go to a location with one parent believing that they're with another responsible adult, and the second responsible adult believing they're back with their parents. And, you know, unless there's a handoff, you know, unless there's a phone call made, the 2 sets of adults will not realize they're not in each other's house and they're actually somewhere else.
You know, the house parties I had when we were growing up, parents were never there. And it was get all the beer bottles out and all the beer cans out for mom and dad got home, or you're getting in trouble. You know, now mom and dad are sleeping, and, you know, and you're having a or mom and dad's went out of town, and Joe texts Sam and Sam texts Jim, and next thing you know, there's 50 kids at a house, and mom and dad don't even know what's going on.
And even better yet, some of these parents, your very own neighbors, are hosting these parties, charging your teens $5 and $10 to get in.
Because that money will go for the kitty for the alcohol or drugs that was spent. Just mom and dad went out, they purchased all the alcohol, they got a little, you know, drugs on the side. You came in the door, there's food, there's music, there's everything you could possibly want, no reason to leave. And all it costs you is $2 or $3, $5 max. And there you are. You have your entertainment for the evening, and your parents either don't care or don't know where you're at.
It is a very serious offense for parents to actually host a party. You mentioned a situation where a parent charges admission and is actually the one that is promoting the drugs and the sex and what have you, and exposing their minor children and their friends to that. Yes, that's a very serious offense, and you know, I've seen instances in Conneaut where you know, that kind of activity has gone on with impunity.
Now, how does this cyberspace network of drug dealers attract teens to a party like this? Well, you make sure to get the prettiest, most popular girls and the most handsome bad boys to commit to becoming a regular part of the scene at these parties. This is what is known as the grooming process.
It's the cool-looking guy on the motorcycle, you know, the nice-looking Harley that will get you sucked in, if that's what you know what I mean? It's the nice, charming jockey guy who has a problem. And it doesn't even have to be these guys. It can be these beautiful girls. And it just takes one stupid moment, and they say it's just only one taste, and you're locked.
It's much easier for a child 15 years old under the age of 18 to sell drugs as a minor than it is for an adult, because the minor gets in trouble, you know, first couple times he's probably going to walk and go right back out to doing it. An adult gets in trouble, 18 years old, the laws change. Okay, so yeah, you're going to approach individuals to do certain things for you.
They're trying to recruit as many people into their army as they can, you know, because the more people they have out pushing their product, the more sales they're gonna have and the more money they're gonna make. and it's really easy to manipulate a young person's mind into selling them the flash and the beauty, and you know what I mean. And kids are very highly image influenced, and if they have this guy drives up in a Cadillac or a nice car, and he's like, if you get on my team in a year's time, you could be driving this. All you gotta do is just a little bit of nickel and dime, nothing big. You won't even get in trouble. You get caught with, what we're giving you, it's gonna be, a slap on the wrist. And these kids are like, wow.
Grooming, my definition, what I've seen, wealthy older men enticing young, beautiful girls. And once they are enticed by whatever that man has to offer, at that time it could be money, anything, a ride in his nice car. Once he gets you into that, then he brings, another element to the table. You are becoming the #1 pass-around girl. You're the belle of the ball. You are just absolutely Miss It. You're Miss Hollywood for the day, and you get to meet all these great other very wealthy people. You get enticed by who they are and all this great big-eyed stuff, and then they take you and they slowly sucker you into having sex, and here, why don't you try a little bit of this, it'll make you feel better. And the next thing you know, these girls are hooked on meth.
Teen house parties often start out with the lure of cases and kegs of free beer and little or no parental supervision. Kids come in and start drinking right away. Most often, just when the party's cranking up, the network drug dealers arrive to sell and recruit potential new drug traffickers to the network. Many travel here from bigger cities like Cleveland, Erie, and Youngstown. And sometimes these guys are armed. And weapons at these parties can lead to tragic consequences.
I would let my kids know, the chances that you're taking when you go to a party. People have been killed at parties before. Like this one party where this girl was shot because of a guy's stupidity thinking that it was an unloaded gun. And it took her life, too.
Many of these teen parties take place when mom and dad are out of town.
You see things. You see people doing meth. You see people drinking, and not sexual activity necessarily in front of you, but you know that later that night someone's gonna do something and you'll hear about it. And now it's so available. There's MySpace, there's cell phones, there's so much technology where they can just pass the word, and within an hour everyone knows where to be, and a lot more is available at parties than back when they used to be.
Mainly just drugs and alcohol and sex and all that.
Young teens having sex with other teens, and sometimes adults, who attend these parties, almost all of it unprotected. Inside, outside, maybe even in your very own bed.
Actually, there was a girl I knew in high school who came to school crying, and she was 15, and she said she went to a party and she took some ecstasy and drank a whole bunch of beer and woke up to a guy on top of her having sex with her, and she had no idea. And now you got these girls who, it's not uncommon to be pregnant at 14 and 15 years old now.
The consequences of this surge of preteen and teen sexual activity are devastating.
Well, I think you have a convergence of problems. You have certainly a very serious teen pregnancy issue here in Ashtabula County, as we've seen across the country. And at the same time, the meth problem, and you have young children, 13, 14, 15-year-olds, having children of their own, not being really prepared to be parents. And it just exacerbates the whole problem with meth, because they don't have really any knowledge of how to parent young children.
From experience, a few parents would wake up and their breakfast is a joint and a beer, and you finish the day with every day's a party. Every day's a party, and you live off the system. You let your kids do whatever they want. They get in trouble with the law. You're like, you made your bed, you lie in it. And they just go on, and they have other children, and it just keeps going.
Parents, your knowledge of the teen house party culture and business model and your ability to stay connected to your teen are critical to your family's future, as well as the future of your community.
It's frustrating to see the community just sort of sliding away, and it's a generational thing, and we're losing a lot of kids, and the ones that are staying here, I see the ones that some of them that have got involved with meth, and it's not a pretty scene.
Parents, you can fight back.
You know, I'm a mother of 7 daughters, and there's nothing that I would never do for my girls, and if anybody messes with my girls, they're gonna mess with me.
You can do something to protect your kids.
We have equipment available that we can put on vehicles to basically monitor and track your children.
Wake up, parents.
Parents need to be more aware of what's going on and not naive to what your children are doing.
It's time to wake up and save your kids.
It takes more than just police officers. We gotta have families and get community get together to stop these drug problems.
Because if you don't, someone's going to walk up to your teen and say, "Welcome to Meth.com."